Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Sword. If you watched the NBA playoffs last night, they started at 6:10. There were 4 games. A lot of
Awesome
them,
day.
yeah, a lot of them very 6:10 though. You had the Pacers and the Bucks. The Bucks fighting for their playoff lives. It went into overtime. Gary Trent was going nuts. He had like 36 points, 12 points in overtime. Hit 4 threes. Looked like the Bucks were going to bring this thing back to Milwaukee and maybe make a series out of this thing. And then I just watched one of the biggest collapses you could ever see in 40 seconds. They had a 7-point lead with 42 seconds left. I don't even know if they got a shot off. They might have gotten one shot off in their next 3 possessions. Tyrese Halliburton hits a game winner. Then after the game, you had Halliburton's dad in Giannis's face, which I don't want to talk too much, but just crazy that that's happened. There's no way he should be allowed back into the playoffs after something like that happened. But what I do want to talk about is this collapse seems like the cherry on top to everything that people have been assuming for like a year now, that Giannis will be traded. The Bucks do not own their first round pick till 2031. They have absolutely no young players that are worth a damn. They have several key free agents set to test the open market that they are not going to be able to retain. And then the big thing is Damian Lillard tore his Achilles and will miss all of next season. This is the time, if there ever was a time, and Giannis still has 2 years left on his contract, so they could try to do something. It wouldn't totally shock me because you don't want to just trade away a guy that's that good with 2 years left on his contract. But this feels like the time to trade Giannis while he's in his prime. 2-time MVP, 7 in a row, all NBA teams, top 5 in the MVP in 7 straight years. Unbelievable talent. I
30.
mean, yeah, and 30 years old. I mean, he is in the smack dab prime of his career. He is a jacked up Jalen Danton times 10. And the Hawks, we've been talking about them as a potential team that could go out there and make a big splash this offseason. And it feels like they could very well be involved in these sweepstakes and put together a very, very good package.
Yeah, I mean, us and 17 other teams, this will.
But I think that's what I want to talk about. Like the package that the Hawks can put together.
Jalen, Raisel, and
whatever first round picks you want.
Both of these 2 first round picks that we've got this year, whatever you want after that. So it's a pretty good package. If I'm the Bucks, though, I think I could get more.
The Ringer put together 7. I didn't read all 7. I read the one that was attached to the Hawks, and it was Jalen Johnson and Zachary Raisel. I think that's what the Hawks would want to do. I know they would try to get Dyson Daniels. I think if I'm the Hawks, I'm hanging on for dear life. Now, with that being said, if the kicker of this trade is Dyson Daniels, which I don't think it will, I think some team could be, especially if you're rebuilding, just excited about Zachary Raisel and the offensive profile and the upside you have there in a 19-year-old than they would be in Dyson Daniels. But if that was hypothetically the kicker and I'm the Hawks and I haven't had a superstar next to Trae Young and haven't had anything close to Giannis in the history of my franchise, that's not going to be the guy. I'm not going to be like, I don't want to give up Dyson Daniels.
What do you mean? I can't give up Dyson Daniels for Giannis.
Like
I can't do that.
That's not going to be the thing. I mean, if you can somehow parlay DeJounte Murray into Giannis, that'll be the greatest 3-way transaction in the history of this franchise, bar none, not even close. So you're still going to do it. And then it was like picks. And then you looked at some of these other trades, and I'm like, the Hawks are one of the better deals because there are not a lot of teams that are going to give up more than that and still remain competitive with Giannis, because you look around the league and Giannis by himself wasn't
very. Was OKC on there?
OKC was on there, but it was actually in the Hawks section that I'm not touching first round picks from a team that just won 68 games in the future. Like a future first round pick for the Hawks, if Giannis doesn't work out, Trae Young asks for a trade, that could be a number 1 pick. But with OKC's, you're like, yeah, this team is young, talented. Now they have Giannis. I don't think I'm getting very much there.
OKC feels like the perfect landing spot in terms of, being a third party. Obviously, I want Giannis in Atlanta. That would be unbelievable. It would finally kind of motivate Wrestler to go into the luxury tax. That duo is kind of exactly maybe the reason Hawks ownership needs to, start footing the bill. And while we all will be upset losing guys as talented and exciting and young as Raisel and Jalen Johnson and potentially Dyson Daniels, guys, when you got Giannis and Trae Young, you can just go out on the free agent market and buy a couple of those guys. I
PJ Tucker still playing?
Yeah. But hey, have Gary Trent Jr. as a kicker in that trade. Dyson Daniels and Gary Trent Jr. You're going to have to match salaries. So I think that if you're the Atlanta Hawks, really nobody should be off limits. No pick should be off limits. Giannis is 30 years old. The duo of Trae Young and Giannis Antetokounmpo would be must-watch TV. It would immediately reward its or return its investment via seats and tickets and merch and everything like that. If you're looking at it from a business standpoint, the only sign off I would look at in terms of whether it would fit schematically on the court is you look at Quinn Snyder, and you kind of see what the Bucks were trying to do. I mean, Trey and Dame are not the same players, but they're not dissimilar players either. I mean, Dame is a better scorer. Trey is a way better facilitator. Well, let's just say prime Dame, prime Trae Young.
Yeah, I mean, they did not get the best version of Dame.
No, they did.
I mean,
and it's honestly
he's 35 years old.
It's a shame. Hang on. I thought you were going to pat yourself on the back. I was going to give you an opportunity to do so, but I'll do it. I'll pat you. Where this went wrong in Milwaukee. Tell me where it went wrong.
Trading Drew Holiday.
Trading Drew Holiday is where all of this went wrong.
Drew Holiday is
and the Celtics now are. They at least look like they're going to compete for championship after championship after championship. The NBA, you never know. You turn the page, so you got to blow it up. But right now, Drew Holiday, them getting rid of that sent the Celtics full blown into championship window and immediately closed the Bucks window.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a glue guy. I mean, he did so much for that team. And then Damian Lillard, as much as people want to talk about Trae Young being a stat sheet stuffer, I mean, there's no bigger stat sheet stuffer than Damian Lillard. And you're getting him at 34, 35 years old, not 26, 27, 28. And yes, Drew Holiday was older, but I always thought that trade was probably not going to benefit them. And yeah, they're just in an absolutely brutal spot right now where there's really no other exit outside of getting rid of Giannis. But listen, whether Giannis happens to the Hawks, I really am just getting this feeling, and it's just based on who our ownership is, the hasty moves that they've been known to make, the guys that will be available. We've heard Devin Booker, we've heard Kevin Durant, we've heard Giannis Antetokounmpo. There's going to be guys, and more will probably become available.
That's one thing about the NBA.
It's the NBA. It just feels like the spot that they're in, the moves that they've made with Landry Fields, the guys they're trying to bring in to head this next leap into contender status, and the flexibility that they have with young contracts and players that people are going to be interested in, it feels like they're going to be involved in all of these conversations.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going to be an exciting offseason.
It should be an exciting offseason. They're big game hunting for their president of basketball operations, and they should be swinging big. I mean, if wrestlers willing to foot the bill, I mean, absolutely. Why not? I just don't see how how we could possibly provide the best trade package. There's no way. What the Nets? The Nets have to be.
I mean, it just depends what you want, right?
Well, if I'm the Bucks, I mean,
I want to
turn
players.
This around.
I want proven players. The Nets have nobody.
That's true. I would say, maybe one all-star caliber player. It doesn't have to be an all-star, but Jalen Johnson would be that. Fit that bill, and then maybe somebody like Zachary Rizachet or somebody like that, and then a whole lot of draft picks, and the Hawks would be trading other people's draft picks away. I just don't see how that.
But I mean, they could go for deeper down the line. I mean, they could literally trade away draft picks because I mean, this is going to be a huge rebuild.
Well,
it's going to be a massive rebuild for the Milwaukee Bucks.
If they do decide to do this, which I do agree. I mean, you're lying to yourself if you think you could still compete. Especially with the likes of this young Cleveland core, and it is still young, the young Boston core in the East, let alone everything in the West. But this is what everybody is scratching their heads about with the Luca Doncic trade is you do it in the offseason, you let every single club who's interested gather the troops and say, what can we offer them? And then you just pick the best one instead of getting pennies on the dollar in the middle of the night from the Lakers. What Giannis is about to get, Luca could have gotten more, I think.
For sure.
In terms
Luca would have gotten way more.
Luca
would have gotten way more. I mean, he's 25 years old.
25.
I mean, Luca would have gotten a lot more than what Giannis is about to get.
Giannis is going to get more than the Mavs got, I think, for Luca. I mean, AD is a Hall of Fame player and everything, and they got a couple of picks, but it's still pennies on the dollar for what many people believe to be a top 5 player in the league. And guess what? Giannis isn't far behind top 5. Some people probably argue he's still top 5.
I think Giannis is 100% top 5.
I mean, and they're going to get if
Giannis,
they want.
People just forget about Giannis because he's out there playing in Milwaukee and the team's struggling in the playoffs. But Giannis is out there averaging 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists. I mean, if you like Jalen Johnson, welcome to Atlanta. Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's like,
I don't know if I can part ways with Jalen Johnson.
Yeah,
I can't wait for that.
I mean, see, that's
going to happen on Twitter.
But that's the other thing. Like, if hypothetically they say, all right, we want Raisel and Dyson Daniels. Like, now you're getting into the point where can anyone match that? Because that's a great offer. I mean, those guys are legitimate pieces to a team that made the play-in tournament, probably should have made the playoffs. Obviously, you're not getting Trae Young, but like Jalen Johnson is 22 and has star power. Dyson Daniels is a most improved player, a defensive player of the year candidate, 22 years old. Zachary Raisel probably should have won Rookie of the Year or right there in the Rookie of the Year race, and he's 19 years old. Like, that's a legitimate, like, you all of a sudden have building.
But if
blocks.
I'm the Bucks, I'm like, no, that's still not good enough. But off the top
of my head, they're not going to get good better than that.
That's what I'm saying. Off the top of my head, I can't necessarily argue that point. If I'm the Bucks, I'm like, no, more.
I don't think they're going to get better than that. I mean, and maybe they will, but and obviously you can throw draft picks on top of that, whether it's the 2 this year or future first or whatever it is.
A 27-year-old executive.
If the Hawks want to make the most appealing trade package, they have the firepower to. There's absolutely no doubt about it. It's just whether they want to.
Can't wait for the Rui Hachimura 2023 first-round pick Laker hypothetical.
Yeah.
Is it already out there?
What about Luca? Like, how about that? That's that. I'm just saying. I'm just
straight up.
No, and they get more. I mean, they probably get other pieces to fill out the rest of their roster. Now we're going a little bit
overboard.
But seriously though, there are people that are looking at Luca in that defense, and if they get eliminated in the first round, I know they're probably willing to build around Luca long term.
I'll tell you right now, like the teams that couldn't do better than the Hawks, if they do need players, is the Heat. The Heat absolutely cannot. I think that if you're the Spurs, you should think about it to a certain extent, especially depending on how this draft goes for you. Because, dude, Victor Wembanyama and Giannis, and I do not think they're a redundant duo because Victor Wembanyama can shoot threes, can handle it like the best of them.
But what are they offering? Like, they got
Rookie of the
Year,
our
first round picks.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year,
our first round picks. I would rather have Raisel over Castle all day. I mean, who cares if he won? I just think Raisel is a better long term player.
The Hawks have a good shot.
Yeah, we got to go to break. We got some Falcon stuff coming up after the break. But yeah, gonna be a fun off season for the Hawks. A couple of topics we talked about yesterday got quick resolutions, very, very quick. We got Drake London, the Falcons announced. Now the deadline was tomorrow, May 1st, to pick up this 50-year option. They did it on April 30th. This was a no-brainer. We talked about maybe them talking about a contract extension. That was probably unlikely. Obvious thing here. I don't even know why Terry Fontenot tried to be like, oh, well, we're discussing those. You know what? We're going to pick it up. Like, he's going to be here in Atlanta for several more years. And then the Jeff Ulbrich situation. I'm sorry for the people that wanted prison time. I'm sorry for the people that wanted Jeff Ulbrich's hands,
hard labor,
fingers cut off because he went out there and made a phone call to Shedeur Sanders. It is a $100,000 fine for Jeff Ulbrich. Not chump change for a defensive coordinator. Like if it was an NFL player or the organization, which the Falcons got fined $250K.
I mean, that could be as much as like 10% of his annual salary.
Yeah, I think Arthur Blank, he'll be fine with his $8.8 billion net worth. But Jeff Ulbrich for $100K. I mean, hey, listen, you lose me $100K and you're 21, my 21-year-old son, we're gonna have some serious issues moving forward.
Belt to butt is what I would be talking about. And Drake London, I think that they were trying their best, which is what they should be doing. The Falcons is trying to extend him before he goes and potentially leads the league in receiving this year with Michael Penix and that duo. And Drake London did exactly what he should have done. He said, thank you. No, thank you. I'll be back at the negotiating table this time next year. You better have $40+ million per year waiting for me, half of it fully guaranteed. And he's right to do that because he's in line for an absolute monster contract. And guess what? Arthur Blank pays. And if there's one thing that you can count on the Falcons doing, it's paying their guys. And I think for the Ulbrich situation. $100,000 is a lot. I wonder if his salary is public. I'm not sure if it is or not.
I'm sure it is.
But
I bet it's not more than $1 million.
I imagine it can't be more than $1 million at the most.
I would say like 1.5.
Yeah, at most that, and that's 10-ish%, 15-ish% of your salary, yearly salary. I mean,
especially
that's not something that just gets, swept under the rug for any family. And honestly, I think, the people who are like, Jack Ulbrich's got to get, punished and this and that. We already discussed it ad nauseum about how ridiculous it was. I have a feeling that you don't have to worry about Jack Ulbrich getting disciplined from an NFL defensive coordinator. Have you ever heard Jeff Ulbrich talk?
Well, that's what
the guy scares me, and I've never seen him in person.
That's what I was going to say yesterday, and I don't know if I ever said it, but it's like defensive coordinators aren't necessarily the nicest human beings. In fact, they're usually the craziest.
They are. They're right there with like offensive line coach and then weight and conditioning coaches.
Yeah, it's like they're typically the craziest human beings.
And he's a linebackers coach.
Yeah, you don't
have to worry about it.
I don't imagine Jeff Ulbrich was like the soft-handed guy in his household, and now his 21-year-old kid that goes to Ole Miss is out there messing around, or where he went to. Or,
Barry, he's here.
He goes to Barry, or he plays college football at Barry. I think it was because he was wearing an Ole Miss shirt or whatever, or like the guy that made the call and he was sitting right there was wearing the Ole Miss shirt.
Beautiful campus, Barry.
Yeah, I don't think that you have to worry about Jack Ulbrich getting punished for a prank call that cost his dad $100,000. Like, think about all the prank calls that you made back in your day that didn't cost your dad $100,000, and you didn't get. I think he's going to be the punishment. I think is going to be well worth the crime that he committed, which obviously isn't really a crime. But to the Drake London situation, I mean, this guy.
He's in line for a fat
he
contract.
is, everything, that the Falcons talk about, the whole ethos stuff. And sometimes you're like, oh, I'm tired of hearing those words because they love these keywords that they always put out there. But he's everything that there is. I mean, the guy absolutely loves the game of football. He loves blocking as much as he likes catching balls. He's a big-bodied receiver. He's physical. He brings the emotion. He's a good guy off the field. About the only thing you can ever complain about him is that stupid 15-yard penalty. And I'm saying it's stupid because that should have never been a 15-yard penalty after the touchdown in the Eagles game.
That's not something to complain about. What's something to complain about is we don't get more of that stuff in the NFL. Standing on his head, shooting. Like, we're all adults here, okay? We're not perpetuating gun violence. It's all right. Like, we can all have fun. We're just, celebrating a touchdown. I have a complaint. We should see more of that.
Yeah. No, listen, I'm right there with you. Unless you're Ja Morant.
That's different.
I'm not going to lie there.
Drake London's not getting arrested.
The grenade celebration is all time. We got to go to break. We got some more coming up. Two of the best relievers of the last 3, 4, 5 years, actually the two best relievers, have been Raisel Iglesias and AJ Mentor. Both of them are in the news for different reasons. AJ Mentor, who beloved by Braves country, had some unbelievable moments, was killing it with the Mets, which was disgusting to see, but also he's one of those guys that's so loved by Braves country, even people were cheering that. And I don't blame him. I was like happy to see him bounce back from his season-ending injury. Well, he has a serious lat strain, season-ending injury, or potentially season-ending surgery is on the table. Excuse me for that. And then Raisel Iglesias in the news because he's been sucking. Jeff Hassan most recently said that there's reason for concern about Raisel Iglesias. How do you feel about that?
I mean, his home run per 9 is 4 times higher than it has really ever been in his entire career. That doesn't feel like it's going to sustain throughout the season. That's just ridiculous.
That sustains.
Because
I don't know what to say.
Because if you go and look at his whip and you go look at his, his K per 9 might be a little bit down, not too much from last year. He's not walking batters at an insanely high clip compared to his average. His K to BB ratio is still around, his career average. Like, all of those metrics, now you can dig in maybe a little bit deeper into the sabermetrics and all that nerd Excel crap, and you could probably find some stuff. But purely, I think he's just, leaving that breaking ball a little bit too much over the plate, and it's just biting him in the butt. I mean, there's really I don't think just yet there's like he's still, throwing his fastball as hard as he's just not locating that off-speed pitch. And I think, until something happens where, Snickers like, yeah, Iglesias' arm or his shoulders, I am not going to be too worried. I think if there was I'm thinking about hitting the panic button, I would be there. But like Jeff Passan also in the same article was saying how the Braves bats have been sucking all season long. I guess he's just been asleep.
He
for the
also
last
said
2
Ronaldo
weeks.
Lopez has had Tommy John surgery.
So I think, and he's one of the most respected, midgets in the game. So I will say I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But the whole article is kind of littered with like, huh? So
yeah, I mean, it's the typical, and even guys that are as good as Jeff Passan, and I love Jeff Passan in terms of his work. I obviously don't know him personally or about his height.
But are you serious? You see that video of him at WWE? He was standing next to 12-year-olds.
Could be big 12-year-olds, though.
I don't know.
Anyways, not the subject. Yeah, there were several things in that article that made me scratch my head, particularly the Ronaldo Lopez, Tommy John. I'm like, and maybe he knows something he doesn't, but I feel like he would have tweeted that out, breaking news, like he does every single time, because that's typically what he does. So it just seems like there were some things that were overlooked. As far as Raisel Iglesias goes, I mean, listen, his strikeout numbers were down from a year ago, and that's something you should always look at. K rate is one of the most important stats. I don't care what kind of nerd that you are. That is something that is important. Striking guys out without being able to hit the ball is very important. That and walks. So his walks are fine. I'm not worried about that. The strikeout rate was down last year. He still had success. I don't think that level of success, 1.95 ERA with that kind of strikeout rate is probably sustainable. But the biggest issue, without a doubt, right now is the fact that he is missing his slider over the heart of the plate. You go look on Baseball Savant, and they will have heat maps of where these sliders are. Every single heat map was on down and away, to left-handed hitters or down and in to right-handed hitters last year with that slider. This year, it's right in the middle of the plate. Like he's just throwing hanging sliders over the middle of the plate, and that's why he's given up 4.1 homers per 9 innings. So it's a location issue, which I think are always fixable, especially for veterans with long track records of success. So am I super, super worried? No. Do I think there is the potential to upgrade at closer at the trade deadline? There might be.
That would be awesome to just knock everybody down.
Yeah. I mean, like getting the best possible guy and moving him down like we did with Raisel Iglesias and Kenley Jansen, like that's
ideal.
That's never a bad thing. Having two guys that can close games, especially if one is selfless enough to just be like, hey, I'll be the 8th inning guy. And I saw an article actually from Jeff Passan as well, talking about trade candidates. And one of the guys that was on there, 2 of them are very, very intriguing if you're the Atlanta Braves and willing to pony up some prospects and get a top reliever. Yohan Duran of the Minnesota Twins with their struggles was a guy that he mentioned, and Ryan Helsley of the Cardinals, 2 of the best in the game. So bringing in either of those guys would nip this conversation in a bud. But if Raisel Iglesias, until then, I'm not going to overreact, just like Ozzie Albies over 4-week sample size, 11 innings.
He also had 3 hits last night.
11 innings.
He had 3 hits last night.
Yeah, I mean,
give me a break. I'm waiting for the 3-week stretch where Ozzie Albies is batting 300 with
6 homers.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh damn, oh my god, he's on pace for 30 homers.
The 3-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger is still pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh no,
I just we're talking about, especially for a closer, 11 inning sample size. It's like,
that's crazy.
What are we doing? Come on, let's we can't even really tell anything about his K rate. It was down last year. It's down again this year. We'll see if it's able to bounce back up. But like you said, as long as he's healthy, he's still throwing at 96, 97. The stuff looks crisp. Just got to hit his location, much like Chris Sale.
Yep.
I think he'll be okay. We got a lot more to talk about coming up after the break. Reports are circulating that Texas Longhorns college football team is going to be worth $35 to $40 million. First of all, does that figure surprise you at all?
What Ohio State's figure came out?
20.
As soon as they won an Natty?
It was the 20. Well, before the season even started, it was Ohio State's $20 million roster.
Right.
Now, it probably was higher than that. If we're getting teams at 35 to 40, I imagine looking at Ohio State's roster last year, I bet you it was more than that. But that was the throw around, oh, you have a $20 million roster.
I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing these big programs. I'm talking, the Oregons, the Ohio States, the A&Ms, the Texases, and I'm purposefully leaving out a couple of them because that's not how Georgia operates. Like nobody should ever expect Georgia to be, top 5 in terms of payroll. That's not possible, honestly. I don't think they have the funds for it, nor would I think they even shell out that kind of money under Kirby Smart. That's not how they operate. I think this is going to become the norm. $20 million rosters, 25, 30, 40, $50 million rosters in college football is going to become the norm, especially if it immediately translates to wins, which for Ohio State it did. Michigan spending all that money on the quarterback draft or high school prospect. So I think if it immediately starts translating to wins, you're going to see every big dog that can afford it to start shelling out some insane money.
Yeah, I don't even think $20 million. To me, I feel like every big program is around $20 million at this point. I'm just thinking about it from a standpoint of how many players you're paying, right? Because you see the team on the field and you're like, all right, that guy's costing at least $2 million. The quarterback's costing $4 million. But then you have to remember, these recruits that aren't even playing, these 4 or 5 star recruits that you're getting, they're all
a few $100,000.
Yeah, they're all getting a bag. Is this 35 and 40 just for the guys that are on the field? Because you start to add all this stuff up in terms of all the 4 and 5 star recruits that you got on the field. All of them are making $1 million. You're at 40, 50 million. And then you have a quarterback in Arch Manning, and he might not be the guy that's trying to push Texas as well. Obviously, the family has a lot of money, but a quarterback of that stature. I mean, Bryce Underwood got 12 million by himself. So at what do we that's 35 to 40 million feels like that's just the stepping stone.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time before we're talking about 50, 60, 70, 80 million, because it seems like there was a bit of pushback, and we'll see if the NCAA starts to regulate it. But at first,
long gone.
At first, though,
it had to be a law.
Yeah. But at first, that's what I meant. We'll see if there's legal salary caps and stuff like that put into place. But at first, teams were hesitant to get into these bidding wars, and now they're like, oh, if we don't get into these bidding wars, we are not going to win a football game.
The bidding wars is still something you probably don't want to get into. In fact, I think the plan should be exactly what Michigan did: is let LSU wine and dine the number 1 prospect in the nation for 2 years, telling him that he's the best, his poop doesn't stink, and then right before he signs that dotted line, go, hey kid, you want $12 million? And that is the recruiting pitch nowadays. And quite frankly, it is disgusting, because you do want my college program. I want guys who want to be in the bayou. I want guys who want to bleed for LSU. I want guys who grew up in the backwoods of Louisiana, who grew up dreaming of playing for the LSU Tigers, as do a lot of college football fans. But this is just the reality of college football now. And I think we're not going to see – I said it 3 years ago. We are still in the wild, wild west. I mean, it is absolute. I mean, you've got Iamaleva's brother leaving Oklahoma high and dry. It is just beginning.
It's unfortunate.
It really is.
I think, I've been hesitant on pushing on because it is awesome.
Because you want them to get their money, but also now we've crossed the line. We've crossed the line.
It's still football, but I agree. It sucks that guys right. And I'm talking about this from an LSU perspective in this past recruiting class, but Dante Moore, Bryce Underwood, they had 3 top, of the top 5 picks in the country, and they simply left for more money. They all wanted to go to LSU. They had no interest in going to Oregon. They had no interest in going to Michigan. But when those 2 programs come calling it, and they're willing to spend $12 million before you even play down a football, you don't have a choice.
No,
and that's what it is.
I don't blame
them. I'm not blaming the players at all. It's just it is unfortunate for the structures, because there are organizations, there are programs out there that are just significantly richer. I mean, it's not even close. The Texas A&Ms, the Texases, the Ohio States, the Michigans, the Oregons, they're on another level, even from the LSUs and the Georgias and the old
LSU can handle its own, but when you've got billion-dollar boosters, that's where it's oh, okay, well, we really can't compete.
Yeah, that literally does not matter. Larry Ellison, he could do 10 times what he's doing. He hasn't even sniffed. And guess what? If Michigan misses with Bryce Underwood and they have another crappy season, they'll just be all right, I'll give you another $20 million. All right, how about I'm now the GM of the team, because you can't do this. I mean, we are getting into very sketchy areas, and I think it'll only get sketchier before, the law gets gets laid down.
Something just has to be laid down, and it doesn't have to be a hard salary cap. I think that if your organization has more resources, you should be able to use them, because one day, if God willing, I have enough money to give I want to give as much money to LSU as I possibly can, because that's where I care about it. And I think it should just have the very similar structure as the MLB and the NBA, where you can pay all these guys if you want. You're going to pay a fine, or you're going to pay that luxury tax penalty.
Yeah, I think an interesting aspect, and this just popped in my head, but a luxury tax penalty that is redistributed throughout the teams in your conference. So it's still obviously you're going to benefit way more than every other team in the conference.
You pay $10 million, or let's say, the SEC's got 15 other teams. You get a $15 million tax bill. $1 million to each other program. That's a good idea.
Yeah, but
that would really de-incentivize spending,
especially if you go too far. Then it sounds like 75% of that is now going to luxury tax, and I think something has to be put into place, because I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. You think it was the last year or the year before? No, we're still going up before we go down. Got more to talk about coming up after the break. If you watched over the weekend or saw clips of it on social media, Bill Belichick's interview with CBS, which was interrupted numerous times and reportedly interrupted much more times than were shown by his 25-year-old girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, you are aware that you have probably seen one of the most cringiest moments from a guy that has been the least cringy person we've ever is not around any of this sort of drama. And now he is entrenched in something that is the total polar opposite of everything we know about Belichick's personality. And it only makes you wonder, is this guy being held against his will? Is this a hostage situation? I have no idea what I'm watching. I really don't. And I understand Bill Belichick said, I don't really care what other people think. Obviously, that is 100% fact. But he also, there's a lot of other stuff about his personality, who he is a coach, that hates everything about what he currently finds himself, the situation that he's in.
It's just shocking, the turnaround. I mean, this isn't unusual to see these, legends of their games kind of turn over a new leaf. You saw it with Tiger Woods. When Tiger Woods finally made it back on tour, he was less of a killer. He was just more friendly. He would talk to the people he was playing with. Nick Saban, you've seen him, a different side of him. I think he is the greatest personality in college football today. It's just unbelievable what you thought you knew versus what he is. And this is the exact opposite of that, where it's like, Bill Belichick kind of opening up, he's relaxing a little bit, but he's doing it in a way that is so questionable. And I'll never be the one to kind of talk about somebody's personal life like this, because it is their personal life. But when you put your personal life out there, you are inviting criticism. You are inviting opinions, and they are doing nothing but putting their personal lives out there. And the only thing I really have to say about all of this is the poor Tar Heel fans and the poor Tar Heel boosters who thought they were getting the greatest coach of all time, who is obsessed with football, who literally doesn't really care about anything other than football. It's not even like, oh, it's my job. It's like, this is a passion. Bill Belichick cannot sleep without thinking about football. And you thought you were getting that guy. And now you have questions if this guy even really cares about football. I mean, I think it's fair to question if Bill Belichick even cares about coaching the UNC Tar Heels. And this isn't the NFL. And while the NFL is king, it's 100% true. The NFL is king. But in terms of, it feels like passion, nothing rivals college football, especially in the South. And North Carolina is still the South. The Tar Heel fans are rabid. And if I'm a Tar Heel fan or an alum or a booster, I would be furious.
Yeah, I think there's two things that I take away in terms of how this affects me, because I don't really care about who he dates or anything like that. I think it's hilarious that this is all coming out in the way that it is and the way that she's acting, and kind of almost like pulling him on a string, which it's like, Bill, you're the greatest Super Bowl coach of all time.
She's 24 years old.
This guy was talking to full-grown 270-pound men like they were his children, and now this 24-year-old pretty face is out there dragging him around, and just goes to show you women are stronger than men.
They rule the world.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about that. But the two aspects that obviously that apply to us is, God, thank God he's not in Atlanta, right?
I don't know.
I mean, it would be fun.
Hang on. For what side of the coin?
From the side of the coin that
we want to win.
Yeah.
From our side of the coin.
Yeah, I mean,
entertainment-wise,
I mean, this would be
awesome.
We would have let off the show with this
Yes.
if he was with the Atlanta Falcons. But yeah, and maybe he never even meets Jordan if he's with the Atlanta Falcons and they don't end up dating or whatever. I don't know exactly what the timeline was like. But yes, thank God he's not the coach of the Atlanta Falcons. But I'm also 87 million times more intrigued about what's going to happen in North Carolina. Like, is this thing just going to be like, is she going to be walking around on the sidelines?
With a headset on?
Yeah. Like,
clipboard headset.
Is it going to be like, run the damn ball, Bill? Like,
run the damn ball,
like,
Bert.
it's literally going to be the damn scene from The Blind Side.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so now intrigued because you see her at the spring practice walking around, like, on the field.
In not athletic clothing.
Yes.
Like,
looking stunning. Listen, a beautiful woman, but, like, and credit to Bill, man. Like, listen, if I'm 72 years old and I'm single, like, I'm like, hey. All I'm saying is I am 10 times more intrigued about North Carolina football because of all of this. And maybe this is all a publicity stunt. I don't know. Because imagine this. None of that happens. Bill Belichick's out there in his North Carolina hoodie that already has holes in it. We have no idea how they got there. Jordan's ripping them into him with their nails. Like, he literally was on with a Navy hoodie up there. And they go on there and start winning football games. And all this noise stops. Or it turns into disaster and we're all like, what the hell happened to Bill Belichick? Either way, everything got more interesting from this interview and all this stuff that's come out since. And I cannot wait to see them take the football field in week 1.
It's pretty funny that everybody kind of just expected and I don't know her, but from everything we've seen, she is clearly, off the rocker a little bit. And I want to be nice because, again, I don't know her. She could be a great girl. But it's always hilarious when I saw a bunch of people on Twitter and Facebook today just, shocked that this 24-year-old who is dating somebody 45, 50 years older than him is slightly off her rocker. It's like, oh, who could have expected this? Like,
yeah, there were some questionable retweets out there into the Twitter sphere.
And people were like, I can't believe. It's like, you can't believe that she's crazy?
Or young. She's 20, like, whatever.
She doesn't care. She's like thinking about tomorrow.
Yeah, like that. None of that stuff. Like this, she hasn't been in this for a long time. She can be as smart as hell, but like she's still young. She's still not used to this kind of publicity, and she's dating one of the most famous people in all of sports. Yeah. And he's now taking over a program that's worldwide renowned. I know people don't think about North Carolina football like that, but
it is.
It is.
Like, they've got boosters. Yeah. Like, how do you think they're paying?
They're
Bill
talking
Belichick?
About a $20 million roster. Yeah. Like that was part of the guarantee. So they are spending a ton of money.
Another aspect of this that I love is not even their situation. It's the reactions. Like Mad Dog was reacting to it, talking about had his similar aged daughter brought home a similar aged man as Bill Belichick. He would have been like, yeah, we'll go to dinner, honey. What do you do? We got to go at 5 p.m. He goes, we got to go at 5 p.m. Okay, that's weird. But yeah, we'll go out to a nice dinner. I'd love to meet your boyfriend. And I walk up and I see it's somebody who's 10 years older than me. It's just, the Mad Dog should never retire forever. That guy still got his fastball.
Oh,
I love
Mad Dog's
guy.
I mean, he tried to go on ESPN and give a monologue about it. He tried, and Molly earpiece in is like, oh, they said we can't. They said we can't. They said we can't. No, and he's like, well, I wanted to. Yeah, they tell me I can't do that, but I wanted.
You know what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and,
I love this.
And we talk about tip of the iceberg. I think we're still going up because the season hasn't even started yet, right? What if they start losing? Does she start bad mouthing the players like publicly? Like, I think this is a Pandora's box that's been opened.
And from that program.
Yes. I think it's going to be fun though for all of us. It's going to be fun to watch North Carolina football. One last segment coming up after the break. Wrapping up with our prediction of the day. Let's stick with Bill Belichick. The North Carolina Tar Heels went 6-7 last year. Do they go over 500 or under 500 this season?
I think right at 500. 6-6.
Come on.
Regular season.
Over or under?
I'll go over only because the ACC sucks. They have TCU out of conference. Like, their schedule is so bad. Like, you'd have to be, I don't even know. I have to go over just because I got to give the greatest coach in NFL history the benefit of the doubt. Don't say under.
I'm going under. Let's just watch the world burn. I got to see what happens if this thing just unwinds. I'm rooting for it like I've never rooted for anything. That wraps up our show. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be back with you tomorrow.